This week, the FDA granted full approval to a drug that could slow the effects of early onset Alzheimer's. It gives new hope to more than 6 million Americans currently living with the disease. Now, Leqembi is the first drug proven to slow the course of this disease. And with its approval, also comes the opportunity for the drug to become more affordable. Joining us now is Dr. Allan Levey. He's a professor and chair of the Department of Neurology at Emory University School of Medicine. He's also the director of Emory's Alzheimer's Disease Research Center. Dr. Levey, thank you for being in with us.
My pleasure.
All right, so this is the first FDA-approved drug to show clinical benefit of slowing the progression of this disease. How much benefit does it offer?
It offers benefit, which is huge.
Yeah.
This is a slowly progressive disease, and over the course of the 18 months that people were treated in the clinical trials that led to approval, there's about a 30% slowing of disease, which seems small in some people's mind. As a person who's been caring for people and like others having family members affected, slowing the disease is absolutely a monumental step forward, right? What that means for some individuals is over the course of a year or two, they may be able to stay more independent, do things, maintain a really high quality functioning life.
And even for people who are hoping to have a few months more of that, years more of it is groundbreaking. But it's for only the early onset. Why just early onset?
Yeah, so we say there's early onset sometimes connotes something different as a young person getting the disease. What we really mean is the early stages of the disease,
okay.
Which is really critical. The earliest symptomatic stages we call mild cognitive impairment. The drug is really intended for people in these very early stages or in the mild stage of Alzheimer's disease per se, when people still have relatively preserved functional abilities. And so this drug is not for everybody, but in these early stages is when it's really most likely to be effective and impactful. And we know that there is a 30% slowing, but that benefit may even grow over time. And that's one of the next things we have to learn.
What's every drug has side effects, and there are some risks. What are the risks here?
Yeah, that's a great question, Victor. They're really serious. So there are these abnormalities that appear on brain scans. So people need to be able to have brain MRI scans to be eligible for this drug to see if they're at risk for these side effects. But microbleeds in the brain swelling, which sounds horrible, but almost always these are asymptomatic and certainly rarely serious. But they can be, and that's really the critical thing for people to know, both patients and doctors. Selecting the right patients is a crucial first step in identifying people so they don't have these fatal outcomes.
And you still have some answers you need about the impact on certain populations, in part because there's some people who just do not submit themselves for these clinical trials.
That's right. Accompanying this FDA approval was the Center for Medicare is also going to allow funding. Medicare is going to fund this drug under terms called the registry, so that information can be collected to see who is going to benefit in the real world. The people who participate in clinical trials tend to be in major urban cities here in Atlanta and all the other academic medical centers. They're highly educated. They're almost all white. We have terrible underrepresentation of minorities, despite knowing that Hispanics and blacks have twice the incidence of dementia, right? So we really need more participation. We don't know whether all individuals are going to benefit or whether some will have higher risk factors. And so selecting the right people is crucial. Unless people of all diverse types get involved in research, we're not going to know if they're going to benefit from a drug, which would be horrible.
Yeah. So again, you say that this is for people in the early stages of Alzheimer's. Can you extrapolate from this research, if there will be or could be, based on what you've learned here, treatment for those who are in, I guess, more advanced stages eventually? Absolutely.
So I think this is such a huge first step because it's going to be the first step to transform a health system. We have so many opportunities now to make a difference. First is for people to get treated, they have to be identified as having memory loss. Patients need to know that, and doctors need to know that. Studies have shown that doctors very rarely even ask about memory loss when people come in for exams when they're older. So this is identifying people as the first step. The next step is getting people treated even earlier with this type of drug. Prevention trials are already underway, right? So being able to diagnose people accurately with special tests today, tomorrow we're going to have blood tests available in the near future, so we can really transform identification. To the late stages of the disease that you're talking about, The most important strategy is prevent the late stages, right? That's the horrific thing that makes this the most feared, disease of people. But later stage diseases, other medications are also under development to help.
Yeah. Dr. Levey, this is good news. This is good news. It's good news, and I know especially for someone who has spent so many years working in this field, that this is fantastic. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Erica?
Well, still to come here, Twitter is now threatening to sue Facebook's parent company, Meta, after